Welcome dear students to our English class of Standard 9th. Today we will be doing the last poem of Unit 4, Tansen. You may have heard the name of Tansen, the greatest musician our country has produced. A singer called Mukundan Misra and his wife lived in Behat near Gwalior. Tansen was their only child. It is said that he was a naughty child. Often he ran away to play in the forest and soon learned to imitate perfectly the calls of birds and animals. A famous singer named Swami Hari Das was once travelling through the forest with his disciples. Tired, the group settled down to rest in a shady grove. Tansen saw them. He hid behind a tree and roared like a tiger. The little group of travellers scattered in fear. But Swami Haridas was impressed by the skill of the boy. Swami Haridas did not punish him. He went to Tansen's father and said, "Your son is very naughty. He is also very talented. I think I can make him a good singer." Tansen was 10 years old when he went away with Swami Haridas. He lived with him for 11 years, learning music and became a great singer. Akbar was so impressed that he asked Tansen to join his court. So, let us learn more about one of the greatest musicians in the world, Tansen. Tansen has been written by Hazrat Inayat Khan. He was a Sufi musician who introduced the Sufi music in the West. The Nizam of Hyderabad honored him as the Tansen of his time. He spread Sufi music worldwide. He is known for his brilliance in poetry and music. Yet his deepest inner calling was in spiritual matters. He has received many awards and medals of honor for his magnificent singing. Tansen is a narrative poem. The poem has 23 rhyming couplets, that is, each line rhyming with the other. The rhyme scheme of the poem is AA, BB, CC, and so on. Let us start with the first three couplets. Tansen, the singer in great Akbar's court, won great renown through the Badshahi fort. His voice rang like the sound of silver bells, and Akbar ravished heard, the story tells. How the king praised him, gave him many a gem, called him chief jewel in his diadem. When Tansen was already a mature musician, that is, at the age of 60, he joined the court of Mughal Emperor Akbar, who was well known for his patronage of the arts. Tansen became one of the Navratnas, that is, 9 gems, a collection of the most talented intellectuals and artists in the court. Now students, do you know about the 9 gems of Akbar? Well, let's have a glimpse. Abul Fazl was a minister of culture for the Mughal Empire and a renowned singer. Tansen was a prime minister known as Grand Vizier of Akbar's court. His skill was honored with the title of Mian, which means learned man. Raja Todarmal was the finance minister of Akbar's court. He is remembered for improving the financial system of the Mughal Empire. Abdul Rahim Khan-e Khana was the defense minister on Emperor Akbar's court, a guardian and mentor to Akbar. Faizi was a minister of education and a mentor to the sons of Emperor Akbar. He is remembered for his works of poetry numbering in the hundreds. Raja Birbal was the foreign minister on Akbar's court. He went on to serve Akbar as a religious and military advisor for around 30 years. Raja Man Singh was the chief of staff of the Mughal army. Now these 9 gems were 9 extraordinary people in his court. One of his 9 gems was Tansen. Tansen went to Akbar's court in 1556 and soon became a great favorite of the emperor. Akbar would call upon Tansen to sing at any time during the day or night. Quite often he would just walk into Tansen's house to hear him practice. He also gave him many presents. His enchanting voice captivated the heart of Akbar. Thus, he gave him sufficient wealth and even referred to him as the jewel of his crown. The third line here, his voice rang like the sound of silver bells. Here, his voice is directly compared to the sound of silver bells using the word like. So the figure of speech here is simile. We also see the letter S being repeated, which shows alliteration. The sixth line, called him chief jewel in his diadem. Here, there is an indirect comparison made between him and the chief jewel. The figure of speech used here is metaphor. The rhyming words here are coat, fort, bells, tells, gem, diadem. Let us continue with the next 3 couplets. One day, the singer sang the song of fire, the Deepak Rag, and burning like a pyre. His body burst into consuming flame. To cure his burning heart, a maiden came, and sang Malhar, the song of water cold, till health returned and comfort as of old. So the story goes like this. Some courtiers of Akbar's court were jealous of Tansen and his popularity, and soon they became his enemies. They decided to ruin his music career and get rid of him forever. They wanted him to sing Raga Deepak. If Raga Deepak was sung properly, the air and surroundings would become so hot that the singer would be burnt to ashes. Shaukat Mian, a courtier in Akbar's court, requested Akbar to make Tansen sing Raga Deepak. Tansen was afraid to sing Raga Deepak, but was scared to disobey the king. Besides, he also wanted to exhibit his singing ability and talent in music. He requested the king to allow him some time to prepare for it. In the meantime, he thought of a brilliant idea. He taught Rag Megh to his daughter Saraswati and her friend Roopwati for 2 weeks. He told them soon after he completes singing Raga Deepak, they should start singing Raga Megh to bring rain and appease the effect of heat. Yes, Tansen's plan worked perfectly. When he sang Raga Deepak, the surroundings became warm, the leaves of trees dried up, birds fell dead, water of rivers began to boil. People were terrified that flames shot up out of nowhere and lighted the lamps. Just then, Saraswati and Roopwati began to sing Raga Megh. The sky filled with dark clouds and the rain came down suddenly, and this saved Tansen's life. and the surroundings from more damage. It is said that after this incident, Tansen became sick. Akbar punished the courtiers. Tansen recovered from his illness and people rejoiced and celebrated his recovery. In the first line, one day the singer sang the song of fire. We see that the letter S is repeated. So the figure of speech here is alliteration. Also, in the fourth line, the words are not arranged in the proper order. To cure his burning heart a maiden came. The figure of speech here is inversion. The correct prose order is a maiden came to cure his burning heart. The rhyming words here are fire, pyre, flame, came, cold, old. Now let's continue with the next 7 couplets. Mighty thy teacher must be and divine. Great Akbar said, magic indeed is thine, learnt at his feet. Then happy Tansen bowed and said, beyond the world's ignoble crowd, scorning its wealth, remote and far away, he dwells within a cave of Himalaya. Could I but see him once, desired the king, sit at his feet awhile, and listening hear his celestial song, I would deny my state and walk in robes of poverty. Then, said Tansen, as you desire Huzur, indeed 'twere better as a slave and poor to come, for he, lifted above the things of earth, disdains to sing to earthly kings. One day, the Emperor Akbar said to his chief singer Tansen, you are such a great singer, and there is such wonderful magic in your voice. I wonder how great your teacher must have been. Please, said Tansen, never compare me to my teacher. There is no comparison. Akbar then expressed his desire to know more and meet Tansen's teacher, from whom he had learned to sing so brilliantly. Tansen replied that his teacher lived in a Himalayan cave away from the unworthy people of the world. Since he was above all the wealth and pleasures of the world, he did not interact with or sing for wealthy men. But Akbar so desired to hear Ustad, who disliked earthly kings, that he changed his kingly attire and dressed as a slave and followed Tansen on a journey to the Himalayas. Here, in the first line, mighty thy teacher must be and divine, the words are not arranged in proper prose order. The figure of speech used here is inversion. The correct prose order is thy teacher must be mighty and divine. Also, the letter M is repeated here, which denotes the figure of speech alliteration. In the line, scorning its wealth remote and far away, we see that the word remote and far away have similar meaning. The figure of speech used here is tautology. The rhyming words used here are divine, thine, bowed crowd, away Himalaya, king listening, deny poverty, huzur poor, things kings. Let's continue with the next 7 couplets. Long was the road, and Akbar as a slave followed Tansen, who rode towards the cave. High in the mountains, at the singer's feet, they knelt and prayed with supplication sweet. Towards thy shrine, lo, we have journeyed long. O holy Master, bless us with thy song. Then Ustad, won by their humility, sang songs of peace and high felicity. The Malkaus Raga all ecstatic rang, till birds and beasts, enchanted as he sang, gathered to hear o'er Akbar's dreaming soul. He felt the waves of heavenly rapture roll. But as he turned to speak his words of praise, Ustad had vanished from his wondering gaze. So Akbar went with Tansen, and after travelling a long way, they found their teacher, that is, Swami Haridas, in the mountains in solitude. Although Akbar was dressed as a servant, the sage recognized him. Still, the emperor's humble attitude appealed to him, and then he sang, and both Akbar and Tansen became spellbound. So, when Ustad rendered the Malkaus Raga, all the birds and animals were captivated by the music and gathered to hear him sing, and Akbar, listening to it, felt as if his soul was in a musical heaven. Sphere of the earth was lost from their consciousness. When they came to their senses, they saw that the sage was not there any more. "Where is he?" asked Akbar. Tansen said, "He has left this place forever, fearing that we might come again and trouble him." Akbar could not say one word in praise of the music he had heard. You know why Ustad had vanished? That's because he had achieved this supreme state of spirituality through singing, and so he did not wait for any praises or acclaim. Also, dear students, the Malkaus Raga is believed to have been created by goddess Saraswati to calm Shiva when Lord Shiva was outraged and not coming down after Tandav in the rage of Sati's sacrifice. The raga evokes a feeling of sense of conquering the self and reaching a state of inner satisfaction. In the first line here, long was the road, the words are not in proper prose order. So the figure of speech used here is inversion. The correct order is the road was long. In the line, they knelt and prayed with supplication sweet. The words are not in proper prose order. So which figure of speech is this? It's inversion. The correct prose order is they knelt and prayed with supplication sweet. Also, the letter S is repeated. So, the figure of speech here also used is alliteration. Now the line, Ustad had vanished from his wondering gaze. We see that the adjective wondering has been transferred from Akbar to his gaze. So the figure of speech here is transferred epithet. Now the rhyming lines used are slave cave, feet sweet, long song, humility felicity, rang sang, soul roll, praise gaze. Let's continue with the last three couplets. Tell me, Tansen, what theme this is that holds the soul enchanted and the heart enfolds in high delight. And when he knew the name, tell me, again he said, could you the same theme sing to lure my heart to paths untrod? Ah no, to thee I sing, he sings to God. Akbar was satisfied and returned to his palace. Some weeks later, he called Tansen before him and asked him to sing the raga that his teacher had sung for him. Tansen obliged and sang. When the song was over, Akbar looked at Tansen and said, "It is true that is the raga your teacher sang, but it is different. How is that?" "Ah," sighed Tansen, "you see, while I stand here and sing before you, the emperor, my teacher sings before God." The rhyming words used here are holds enfolds, name same, untrod God. Now, dear students, the poem Tansen is written in praise of the famous Indian classical musician. It has 23 rhyming couplets. The poet has used words from Indian languages here like raga, ustad and deepak. The poet has drawn beautiful images from history, including palatial setting, courtly manners, mystical traditions and illusions. It not only talks about Tansen, but also reflects on the mystical sense of music, as it may help one to associate with nature and God. Now, Tansen was undoubtedly the greatest musician of all times, but his master, Sant Haridas, proved to be a real saint of music. Since the poem talks about the famous Indian classical musician Tansen, and hence Tansen is an apt title for the poem. So we have completed the poem. That's all for this class. Thank you.